Welcome everyone to our final Green Buildings webinar of 2013. We're very glad that you could join us today. I'm Ellen and I'll be facilitating the webinar today, and I'm joined here by my colleagues Tom Pierre and Kevin. Tom Pierre will be handling questions, including unmuting you if you would like to speak. So if you want to speak, because we will have time for discussion during the webinar, you go to the tab that says attendees and there's a little hand icon there, and you can click on that and raise your hand, and Tom Pierre will unmute you so that you can ask a question. You can also type questions and comments to us directly in the questions tab as we go through the presentation, and Tom Pierre will keep track of those and will raise some of them during the discussions as well. So 2 ways to reach us throughout the presentation. Kevin is in charge of audio and video technical support. So if you encounter any issues during the webinar, his cell number is there for you right now, so that you can call him if you've got any issues with that. You can also text us questions in the chat box as well. So feel free to send questions or comments or issues there as well, and Kevin will take care of any of those issues for you. We're joined today by our guests Amber Zernheld from Campbell River, Ryan Schmidt and Robert Baker from the Township of Langley, and Marty Paradine from Fort St. John. We're so pleased that they were able to join us today and share the programs and policies and on-the-ground implementation that they've been doing in their communities with us today and with all of us. The agenda for the webinar today is we're going to start with a very brief overview of the Green Building Leaders Program. And then we'll move right into sharing the community perspectives. We'll start with Campbell River and their Energy Challenge program, the Township of Langley and its new fee-bait program, and Fort St. John's passive house that they've just finished constructing. And then we wanted to have a discussion, and we'll actually open it up for discussion after each of those as well. We wanted to have a discussion on the end, and we wanted to share a little bit about NRCan's new EnerGuide rating system, what we know about implementation and timelines, and also get some feedback from you on how you think you can use the new system as you move forward with your policies and programs in your communities, and then ask for your feedback again on our next steps. So very briefly at the front here, I just wanted to let you know, for those of you who are new and joining us, we're the Sustainable Communities Group at Pembina. We work with leading communities on energy and climate policy. And we network leading municipalities and advance cutting-edge policy, work with communities to do that really, and share and leverage learning. And really that's what this webinar is about today, all of this. We're networking across the leading municipalities, and sharing and leveraging the learning for the cutting-edge policy that they've been bringing forward, as well as other programs and implementation on green building policies. The key policy areas that we've been working on are looking at existing buildings and labeling, so that's audits and disclosure of the audits, looking at standards, and looking at how to do upgrades. For new buildings, again, looking at labeling, so getting that EnerGuide rating onto a building so that when people are purchasing a new home, they know what kind of energy performance to expect. And also thinking about how we get higher energy performance out of the new buildings. And lastly, on-site renewables. We've done quite a bit of work on a renewable energy requirement as well, that would incorporate how to incorporate renewables into new construction and also into older buildings. And there have been a number of successes in these areas due, I think, to the large number of people that have been working on these issues, and many organizations and many communities. There's Live Smart rebate programs for upgrades to existing homes. There's now a financing program that the province is testing that's being expanded to Vancouver Island and the Okanagan in January. There are new energy requirements in the code for both Part 3 buildings that have just come into effect in December of this year, and for Part 9 buildings, so the single-family residences, will be coming into effect next year in December. Many communities, 48, have now signed on to the Solar Hot Water Ready opt-in regulation, and Dawson Creek brought forward a UBCM resolution on requiring renewables in new construction that was endorsed by UBCM in 2011. There's still many challenges, of course, in these areas, and that's what I think our community partners will be addressing today, is how they're addressing these challenges. In existing buildings, considered to be really voluntary to this point, although the City of Victoria actually has a new legal opinion that they can require audits and or disclosure at the point of renovation. They haven't released any details on that yet, but we do know that they do have a legal opinion on that. The upgrades to existing homes are invisible, so it's sometimes hard to get people to care about it. You know, they want the new granite countertop, but you can't see the insulation in the walls. So very challenging to get into. And I think Amber's program that she's going to talk about today really addresses this issue of making energy visible in the community. And there's also often very few connection points with local government, really the permitting for renovations. In new buildings, some of the challenges really are jurisdictional. How can you encourage and negotiate beyond code, since local government does not have the authority to require technical standards that go beyond code? And then another question I think with the new buildings is how could we actually achieve a transformative change and moving beyond sort of incremental to really rethinking how we build buildings. And that's the piece I think that Marty will be addressing today when he talks about his pilot passive house building up in Fort St. John. Pembina's approach, we have a number of approaches to these, and one of the ones we're doing right now is a joint letter supporting municipal innovation. And so this is being sent to Ministers Coleman and Bennett, the responsible for housing, and Ministry of Energy and Mines. And we're asking them to support retrofits by expanding the financing programs across the province and reinstating the full Live Smart program, by looking at developing a comprehensive suite of opt-in regulations for those communities that do want to bring in more advanced regulations in the BC Building Code, looking at home energy labeling across the province and exploring how that might work and whether that could be rolled out. And lastly, looking at smart modernization. We did do a webinar on this, and the link is there to the PDF from that webinar is on the screen if you're interested in looking in more detail. And we do have 3 signatories to date: the City of North Vancouver, Smithers, and Colwood. Much thanks to them for signing on. It's still going to councils and boards this month, and we'll be sending the letters in January. If you haven't taken this forward in your community, we would really ask that you do, and please contact me if you have any questions about the program. Now, we're going to move on to the local government approaches with our partners. The upgrades to existing homes, Campbell River's Energy Challenge, better new homes with the Township of Langley's new fee-based system and a solar subdivision, and testing transformative change up in Fort St. John.